Maya Washington stood behind the bar of the Blue Moon nightclub, wiping glasses with a clean cloth. Her eyes scanned the dimly lit room, noting each patron's position and behavior while appearing to focus on nothing more than her work. The smoky atmosphere and loud music provided perfect cover for her real job. For 3 years, she had worked as an undercover CIA operative, gathering information on a weapons smuggling ring that had connections reaching from international sources all the way into local law enforcement. Tonight marked the 3rd time she had seen Officer Greg Peterson enter the club and meet with Anton Kirov, a known arms dealer the CIA had been tracking for months. Their conversations were always brief, their exchanges subtle, but Maya missed nothing. The clock showed 1:15 a.m. when Peterson slipped out the back door. 5 minutes later, Kirov followed. Maya nodded to the other bartender. "Taking my break now, Carly," she said, untying her apron. "Sure thing." "Don't freeze out there," Carly replied, barely looking up from the drink she was mixing. Maya slipped out the side entrance and moved silently along the wall of the building. Rain fell steadily, creating a constant patter that helped mask her footsteps. She positioned herself behind a dumpster with a clear view of the back alley. Peterson and Kirov stood under the minimal shelter of a fire escape, their faces partially illuminated by the single security light above the club's back door. Maya raised her phone and activated the specialized recording function that the CIA tech team had installed. The camera captured in perfect clarity as Peterson handed over an envelope, and Kirov passed him a small package in return. "Next shipment is twice the size," Kirov said, his voice barely audible over the rain. "Your cut doubles too, but we need the security codes for the harbor checkpoint." "I'll have them next week," Peterson answered. "Tucker is bringing me in on the waterfront detail." Maya zoomed in, capturing clear images of both men's faces and the exchange. Just as she was about to pull back, her foot slipped slightly on the wet pavement. The noise was small, barely perceptible against the rainfall, but Peterson's head snapped in her direction. Maya froze, pressing herself against the brick wall. After a tense moment, Peterson turned back to Kirov. "Someone's watching. We're done. Here," he said sharply. Both men quickly moved in opposite directions, disappearing into the night. Maya waited 5 full minutes before returning to the club. Her heart raced, but her face remained calm as she resumed her position behind the bar. If Peterson had spotted her, she needed to report it immediately. She sent a coded text message to her handler, Section Chief Alan Gray. "Weather turning. Possible storm coming." The reply came minutes later. "Understood, stand by for extraction plan." Maya finished her shift at 3 a.m. and drove home carefully, watching for any signs of surveillance. Her apartment was small and sparsely furnished, appropriate for her cover as a bartender living paycheck to paycheck. She swept the place for bugs, then removed a loose brick from the fireplace to retrieve her secure satellite phone. "Mockingbird secure," she said when the connection was established. "Go ahead, Mockingbird," Gray responded. "I observed and recorded an exchange between local officer Peterson and Kirov. Money for a package, likely information. They mentioned a larger shipment coming through the harbor. Peterson is getting security codes from Police Chief Tucker." "Excellent work. Any issues?" Maya hesitated. "Possible compromise. Peterson may have spotted me during surveillance." "Risk level?" "Low to moderate. I maintained cover, but he's suspicious by nature." "Continue as planned. We're close to identifying all players. Extraction team remains on standby if needed." "Understood. Mockingbird out." Maya replaced the phone in its hiding place and tried to sleep for a few hours. Her training allowed her to fall asleep quickly despite the tension, but she woke instantly at 7 a.m. when her regular alarm sounded. She followed her normal morning routine, a 5-mile run, shower, light breakfast, maintaining her cover even when alone. At 9:30 a.m., she left her apartment to run errands before her evening shift. 3 blocks from her home, blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. A police cruiser signaled for her to pull over. Maya's pulse quickened, but she kept her expression neutral as she pulled to the curb. In her mirror, she watched Officers Peterson and Frank Miller approach her car. Peterson came to her window, while Miller circled to the passenger side. "License and registration," Peterson said, his face unreadable behind mirrored sunglasses. Maya handed over her documents, all expertly forged by the CIA to support her cover identity. "Is there a problem, officer?" "Step out of the car, please," Peterson ordered, ignoring her question. Maya complied, noting that Peterson positioned himself to block the view from passing traffic. "May I ask why I'm being stopped?" "We received a report of a vehicle matching this description being involved in drug activity," Miller said from the other side of the car. "That's ridiculous," Maya protested, maintaining her role as an ordinary citizen. "I'm just heading to the grocery store." "Stand over here, facing the wall," Peterson directed, leading her several feet away from her car. "Hands where I can see them." From the corner of her eye, Maya watched Miller open her passenger door and reach inside. She knew instantly what was happening but could do nothing to stop it. Her CIA training had prepared her for many scenarios, but direct intervention against local police would blow her cover completely and potentially compromise the entire operation. "What's your partner doing?" she asked, knowing full well but needing to appear appropriately concerned and confused. "Just routine procedure," Peterson replied, watching her reaction carefully. 3 minutes later, Miller called out, "Got something here, Greg." Peterson smiled coldly at Maya. "Turn around, hands behind your back." "What? Why?" Maya demanded as Peterson roughly spun her around and cuffed her. Miller approached, holding up a clear plastic bag containing white powder and an unregistered handgun. "Look what we found under your seat." "That's not mine. You just planted that." Maya struggled appropriately against the handcuffs, playing her role while her mind raced through protocols and contingency plans. "Resisting arrest now," Peterson said loudly, clearly playing to imaginary witnesses as he roughly pushed her against the police car. "You have the right to remain silent." As the Miranda rights were recited, Maya noticed her specialized watch was recording everything. The CIA-issued device, designed to look like an ordinary fitness tracker, had activated when it detected elevated stress signals from her body. At least she would have evidence of what really happened here. "I want a lawyer," Maya stated firmly, as they placed her in the back of the patrol car. Through the partition, she heard Peterson make a call. "Chief? It's Peterson. We got her. The bartender from the Blue Moon." "Yeah, with the evidence just like you said, taking her in now." Maya kept her face neutral, but inside she felt both anger and determination rising. Somehow, they had identified her as a threat. They had no idea. She was CIA, but they knew she had witnessed something. Now they were trying to remove her from the picture. What they didn't realize was that they had just made a critical mistake. By arresting her on false charges, they had set in motion events that would ultimately expose their entire operation. Maya sat on the hard bench in the holding cell, her back straight against the cold wall. 24 hours had passed since her arrest. The concrete room held 6 other women, most dozing or staring blankly at the floor. None of them knew that. A CIA operative was among them. Her mind worked through each detail of her situation. By now, her handler, Alan Gray, would know something was wrong. CIA protocol required check-ins every 12 hours during active operations. She had missed 2. The corrupt officers had taken her watch and phone, but they didn't know about the hidden recording devices in both items. Even powered off, her equipment continued gathering data. More importantly, both devices sent out encrypted location signals that her team could track. A guard appeared at the bars. "Washington, you made bail." Maya looked up in surprise. She hadn't called anyone. This had to be the CIA's work. The guard led her through processing, where she received an envelope containing her personal items. Her watch and phone were there, seemingly untouched. As Maya signed the release papers, she noticed a public defender waiting nearby. "Ms. Washington, I'm Kevin Barnes, your court-appointed attorney," he said, extending his hand. "Someone posted your bail anonymously." Maya studied him quickly. Young, maybe 30, with neat clothes and tired eyes. She shook his hand. "Thank you for coming." "Let's talk outside," Barnes suggested. Once in the parking lot, Barnes led her to a coffee shop across from the courthouse. The small cafe was nearly empty. They took a table in the back corner. "Your arraignment is set for Monday," Barnes explained, opening his folder. "The charges are serious. possession of narcotics with intent to distribute, illegal possession of an unregistered firearm, and resisting arrest. Maya sipped her water, watching Barnes carefully. Those drugs in that gun aren't mine. The officers planted them. Barnes looked skeptical. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. I was set up. May I ask why police officers would target you specifically? Maya considered her options. CIA protocol was clear about revealing her identity, even to legal counsel. But she needed to assess if Barnes was connected to the corruption. I tend bar at the Blue Moon. I've seen things, she said vaguely. Barnes nodded, making notes. I'll request the police dashboard camera footage. If what you're saying is true, it might show something useful. They didn't use their dash cam, Maya said. They made sure to stop me where it wouldn't record the search. As they talked, Maya noticed a man reading a newspaper at a nearby table. He turned a page revealing the sports section with yesterday's baseball scores circled in red ink. It was a CIA recognition signal. Excuse me a moment, Maya said to Barnes. She walked to the restroom, passing close to the man's table. Gray, sends regards, the man murmured without looking up. Backup phone in the restroom trash under paper towels left side. Maya retrieved the phone from its hiding place and sent a secure message to Gray. Compromised but free. Evidence recorded. Awaiting instructions. The reply came quickly. Extraction. Team standing by. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Maya typed back. Negative. Opportunity to expose entire network. Request permission to maintain cover and proceed to trial. There was a longer pause before the response. Explain strategy. Court case puts all corrupt officials in one place. Can reveal identity and evidence simultaneously, preventing escape or evidence destruction. Requesting support to vet defense. Attorney Barnes. After another pause. Authorized. Barnes clean. Being briefed now. Assets moving into position. Daily contact required. Maya deleted the messages and hid the phone in her boot before returning to the table. Barnes was on his phone, his expression subtly changed. Sorry about that, she said. Barnes nodded. No problem, I was just, reviewing some details of your case. Maya recognized the shift in his demeanor. He had been contacted. Is everything okay, Mr. Barnes? Yes, of course, and please call me Kevin. He lowered his voice. I think we should discuss your case more thoroughly at my office tomorrow. There are some strategies we need to explore. I agree, Maya replied. What time? 10 a.m. For now, you should rest. The address is on my card. They parted outside the cafe. Maya walked 6 blocks before taking an indirect route to a small motel on the edge of town. The CIA would have secured it already. She found a key waiting for her at the front desk under the name Maria Williams. The motel room was basic but secure. Maya swept it for bugs, then removed the backup phone. She had 2 hours before her scheduled check-in with Gray. She used the time to write down everything she remembered about the weapons smuggling operation, focusing on connections between Officer Peterson, Chief Tucker, and arms dealer Kirov. The corrupt network was bigger than she initially thought, potentially reaching into the district attorney's office. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Maya approached cautiously, hand reaching for the weapon she no longer had. Room service, a woman's voice called. There was no room service at this motel. Maya tensed. Mockingbird status? The woman asked quietly through the door. Maya relaxed slightly at the code phrase. Weather clearing, nest secure. The door opened to reveal a middle-aged woman in a cleaning uniform. Diane Lewis, CIA support team. She closed the door and handed Maya a small duffel bag. Secure phone, weapon, cash, and fresh clothes. What's the situation outside? Maya asked, checking the gun's magazine. Officers Peterson and Miller are searching for you. They're telling patrol units you violated bail conditions. Chief Tucker is pressuring the DA's office to fast-track your case. They're nervous, Maya observed. They know I saw something. Gray wants confirmation. You still want to pursue the courtroom strategy. It's risky. Maya nodded firmly. It's our best option. If I disappear now, they'll destroy evidence and scatter. We need them all in one place, confident they've won when everything falls apart. Barnes has been fully briefed. He'll appear to build a standard defense while we prepare the real strategy. We're placing assets throughout the courthouse and DA's office. What about the other women in the smuggling ring investigation? Operation continues under different agents. Your intel has been invaluable. After Lewis left, Maya sat on the bed and closed her eyes briefly. The next few weeks would require all her training and focus. One mistake could cost her freedom or her life. She remembered her CIA instructor's words from years ago. Sometimes the best position is to appear at your weakest when you're actually at your strongest. Maya would play the role of a frightened bartender facing serious charges. Meanwhile, she would be gathering information, connecting with inmates who might have useful knowledge, and preparing for the moment when she would reveal her true identity in court. The corrupt officers thought they had neutralized a witness. They had no idea they had just caught a CIA operative who now had the perfect cover to dismantle their entire operation from the inside. Maya sat across from Kevin Barnes in his small office 3 weeks after her arrest. Papers and legal books covered most surfaces. A coffee maker in the corner filled the room with a rich aroma. Outside, rain tapped steadily against the windows. The trial date is set for next Monday, Barnes said, adjusting his glasses. The prosecution seems unusually eager to get this to court. They want to lock me away quickly, Maya replied. Before I can cause problems. Barnes nodded. On the surface, we'll present a standard defense, challenge the search procedure, question why they stopped you in the first place, and highlight the lack of dashboard camera footage. Maya leaned forward. And beneath the surface? Barnes lowered his voice despite the room being secure. CIA Director Elaine Roberts will appear as a surprise witness. We have federal agents preparing to move in once you reveal your identity. What about the evidence against Peterson and the others? Barnes opened a folder. Your watch and phone. Recordings have been enhanced by CIA tech teams. They clearly show the officers planting evidence and discussing their plans. We also have footage of Peterson meeting with Kirov from the club's security camera. The club has cameras in the back alley? Maya asked, surprised. Not officially. Your handler had them installed 6 months ago as part of the operation. Maya smiled slightly. Gray had been thorough, as always. What about Chief Tucker? She asked. We have recorded phone calls between him and Peterson discussing your arrest. The CIA also uncovered financial records showing unusual deposits in Tucker's offshore account that align with known weapons shipment dates. Maya nodded, mentally connecting pieces of the operation. And the district attorney's office? Assistant. Pamela White appears involved. She's been rushing your case while delaying prosecutions against known associates of the weapons ring. She and Tucker have met privately 6 times in the past month. Maya stood and walked to the window, watching. Rain streaked down the glass. They think they have a simple case against a bartender who saw too much. They have no idea what's coming. The CIA has placed operatives throughout the courthouse, Barnes continued. Agent Lewis is now working as a clerk in the district attorney's office. Agent Rodriguez is on the courthouse security team. 3 more agents are positioned as maintenance staff, a court reporter, and a bailiff. And my role until then? Continue playing the worried defendant. Your bail conditions require you to stay in town and check in with the probation office twice weekly. Those check-ins give you a chance to be seen around the courthouse, establishing a pattern of compliance. Maya returned to her seat. Peterson and Miller have been watching me, not very subtly. They want to intimidate you, Barnes said. They're also making sure you don't skip town before trial. Any word on the weapons shipment Peterson and Kirov discussed? Intercepted last night at the harbor. The CIA used your intelligence but kept local police out of the operation. As far as Peterson knows, the shipment is still coming. Good. That keeps our advantage. Barnes began organizing the papers on his desk. Director Roberts wants to meet with you tomorrow to go over final details. Where? The boathouse at Lakeside Park, noon. She'll arrive by water to avoid being seen. Maya stood to leave. I'll be there. And Kevin? Thank you. I know this case puts you in a difficult position. Barnes shook his head. After seeing the evidence of what these officers have done, I'm proud to help take them down. I became a lawyer to fight for justice, not to watch corrupt officials abuse their power. The next day, Maya walked along the lake shore, appearing to enjoy the morning sunshine like any other park visitor. She wore running clothes and carried a water bottle, her eyes hidden behind sunglasses. At precisely noon, she entered the old boathouse. Inside, Director Elaine Roberts was waiting with Alan Gray. Roberts was tall and commanding in her dark suit, her silver hair cut in a practical bob. Gray, Maya's handler for 5 years, looked relieved to see her in person. "Agent Washington," Roberts said warmly. "Good to see you safe." "Director," Maya nodded respectfully. "Section Chief Gray." Gray stepped forward. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine, ready to end this." Roberts gestured to chairs arranged around a small table. "Let's go over the plan. The trial begins Monday at 9 a.m. The prosecution will present their case, likely calling officers Peterson and Miller to testify against you. Barnes will cross-examine them," Maya added, highlighting small inconsistencies but not revealing our hand. "Correct," Roberts continued. "When the defense begins its case on Tuesday or Wednesday, Barnes will call me as a surprise witness. Federal Marshal Owens will enter with me along with an FBI tactical team." Gray opened a laptop. "I'll be monitoring from outside the courthouse with a second team ready to move in if needed. Once your identity is established," Roberts said, "we'll present the evidence showing the officers planting drugs and weapons in your car, plus Peterson's involvement with Kirov. We'll also reveal the broader corruption in the police department and district attorney's office." Maya nodded. "And the arrest warrants?" "Already prepared," Roberts replied. "Judge Morgan from the federal court has signed them. They remain sealed until the moment of revelation." "What about my safety during and after the trial?" Maya asked. "Agent Rodriguez will be positioned directly behind you in the courtroom." 4. More agents will be stationed throughout the room. Once your identity is revealed, you'll be immediately moved to a secure position. "And afterward?" Roberts and Gray exchanged looks. "That depends on how many of the smuggling ring members we capture," Roberts said. "You may need to testify in additional cases. After that, you'll be offered a new assignment. Your cover in Riverdale is obviously finished." Maya absorbed this information quietly. She had known her time in Riverdale would end eventually, but the abrupt change still felt jarring after 3 years undercover. "Questions?" Roberts asked. "Just one," Maya said. "Has the FBI been briefed on the full extent of the weapons ring's connections? This goes beyond Riverdale." "Yes," Gray replied. "Teams are preparing to move on locations in 5 states once we reveal everything in court. The timing is crucial. We need all actions to happen simultaneously so no one slips away." Maya stood. "Then I'm ready." Robert stood as well. "The nation owes you a debt, Agent Washington. This operation has been difficult and dangerous, and you've performed exceptionally." Maya simply nodded. Praise from the CIA director was rare, but her mind was already focused on the coming confrontation. As she left the boathouse, Maya noticed Officer Peterson sitting in an unmarked car across the park. He made no attempt to hide his surveillance. Maya pretended not to see him and continued her run along the lake path. 4 more days until the trial. 4 more days of playing the role of a frightened bartender facing serious charges. 4 more days until she revealed the truth that would bring down an entire network of corruption. Maya increased her pace, feeling the tension in her muscles release with each stride. The rain had cleared, leaving the air fresh and clean. Soon, she thought, very soon justice would come like a thunderstorm. The courtroom fell silent as Maya entered on Monday morning. She wore a simple navy blue dress and low heels, her hair pulled back neatly. She appeared nervous but composed, exactly how a bartender facing serious charges should look. Only she knew that beneath her concerned expression lay the calm focus of a trained CIA operative. Kevin Barnes walked beside her, carrying a slim briefcase. They took their seats at the defense table as Assistant District Attorney Pamela White arranged papers at the prosecution table. White was a sharp-featured woman in her 40s with perfectly styled blonde hair and an expensive gray suit. "All rise," the bailiff called as Judge Richard Simmons entered the courtroom. Judge Simmons was in his 60s with thinning white hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. "Be seated," he said, settling into his chair. "Case number 47293 State versus Maya Washington. Are both sides ready to proceed?" "Ready for the prosecution, Your Honor," White replied confidently. "Ready for the defense," Barnes stated. Maya scanned the courtroom carefully. Officer Peterson sat directly behind the prosecution table, smirking slightly. Officer Miller was beside him. Police Chief Tucker had taken a seat in the back row, attempting to appear casual but clearly interested in the proceedings. She also noted the positioning of the CIA agents. Agent Rodriguez was in uniform as a courthouse security officer, standing near the door. The court reporter was Agent Chen, and one of the jurors was actually Agent Foster, who had been placed through careful manipulation of the jury selection process. "Ms. White, you may make your opening statement," the judge directed. White stood and approached the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, this case is straightforward. On April 15th, the defendant was stopped for a routine traffic violation. During a legal search of her vehicle, officers Peterson and Miller discovered illegal narcotics and an unregistered firearm. When confronted with this evidence, the defendant became combative and resisted arrest. She paced slowly before the jury. The evidence will show that Maya Washington is not the simple bartender she claims to be. She has connections to drug dealers who frequent the Blue Moon nightclub where she works. The officers involved followed proper procedure, and the defendant's claims of evidence planting are desperate attempts to avoid responsibility for her crimes. Barnes scribbled notes as White spoke, appearing concerned by her confident delivery. This was part of the act they had planned. Maya kept her eyes down, occasionally shaking her head slightly as if distressed by the accusations. When White finished, Barnes rose for his opening statement. As planned, he presented a standard defense focused on procedural errors and lack of evidence. "The prosecution claims this case is straightforward," he began. "But nothing about this arrest was by the book. My client was stopped without cause. No dashboard camera footage exists because the officers deliberately chose a location where they wouldn't be recorded. Maya Washington has no criminal record, no history of drug use, and no motive to carry illegal weapons." He looked directly at the jury. "The truth is that Ms. Washington witnessed something she wasn't supposed to see. These officers targeted her specifically, planted evidence in her car, and falsified their report. By the end of this trial, you will see that the real criminals are not sitting at the defense table." Chief Tucker shifted uncomfortably in his seat as Barnes spoke. Maya noted the reaction without turning her head. Everything was proceeding as planned. The prosecution called Officer Peterson as their first witness. He took the stand looking confident in his crisp uniform, badge gleaming under the courtroom lights. After Peterson was sworn in, White led him through rehearsed testimony about the traffic stop, search, and arrest. His account painted Maya as aggressive and uncooperative. "We observed the defendant's vehicle making an illegal turn on 5th Street, Peterson testified. "When we activated our lights, she initially appeared reluctant to stop. Once pulled over, she seemed nervous, which raised our suspicions." "What happened next?" White asked. "I asked her to step out of the vehicle while Officer Miller conducted a standard search. We discovered approximately 50 grams of cocaine under the driver's seat and an unregistered 9mm handgun in the glove compartment. How did the defendant react when you found these items?" Peterson's expression hardened. "She became hostile, claiming we planted the evidence. She attempted to flee back to her vehicle and had to be physically restrained." White nodded. "No further questions, Your Honor." Judge Simmons turned to the defense table. "Your witness, Mr. Barnes." Barnes approached the stand slowly, holding a folder. "Officer Peterson, you testified that you stopped Ms. Washington for an illegal turn on 5th Street, correct?" "That's right. Yet in your written report you state the violation occurred on Main Street. Which is it?" Peterson hesitated. "I misspoke. It was Main Street." "Were you wearing body cameras during this stop?" "No, they were malfunctioning that day." "Both yours and Officer Miller's cameras were malfunctioning on the same day?" "Yes, equipment failures happen," Peterson replied defensively. Barnes opened his folder. "Your department received a federal grant for new body cameras 3 months Hago, those cameras automatically upload footage to a secure server. Are you saying both cameras and the upload system failed? Peterson shifted in his seat. I'm saying we didn't have working cameras during that stop. Barnes changed direction. Prior to this traffic stop, had you ever seen Ms. Washington before? No, Peterson answered quickly. Never saw her working at the Blue Moon nightclub? Peterson paused. I may have seen her there during routine patrols. In fact, you were at the Blue Moon the night before the arrest, weren't you? I don't recall specifically. Barnes approached the defense table and picked up a document. I have here the duty roster showing you were off duty that night. Yet the Blue Moon's entrance log shows you signed in at 11:42 p.m. Why would you visit a nightclub while off duty and then coincidentally stop its bartender the next day? Objection. White stood up. Relevance? I'm establishing potential bias or motive, Your Honor, Barnes explained. I'll allow it, Judge Simmons ruled. The witness will answer. Peterson's jaw tightened. I sometimes visit local establishments to maintain community relationships. One final question, Barnes said. Did you meet with a man named Anton Kirov at the Blue Moon that night? Peterson's face paled slightly. I don't recall that name. No further questions at this time, Barnes said, returning to his seat. As the questioning continued, Maya noticed Chief Tucker slip out of the courtroom, phone in hand. She made brief eye contact with Agent Rodriguez, who nodded slightly and touched his earpiece to alert the team outside. The plan was working. Peterson was already showing cracks in his testimony. Tucker was getting nervous. Tomorrow, when the defense presented its case, Director Roberts would enter, and Maya's true identity would be revealed. For now, Maya continued playing her role, occasionally whispering to Barnes or writing notes. To everyone except the CIA agents in the room, she appeared to be nothing more than a worried defendant hoping for a favorable outcome. Little did Peterson, Miller, and the others know that in less than 24 hours, their entire corrupt operation would come crashing down around them. The courthouse buzzed with tension on the second day of the trial. Maya sat at the defense table looking more confident than the day before. Officer Miller had just finished his testimony, which matched Peterson's account almost word for word. Too perfectly, in fact, which Barnes had pointed out during cross-examination. Judge Simmons adjusted his glasses. Ms. White, does the prosecution have any more witnesses? No, Your Honor. The prosecution rests, White replied, looking pleased with her case. Mr. Barnes, you may call your first witness, the judge said. Barnes stood. Defense calls Director Elaine Roberts to the stand. A confused murmur spread through the courtroom. White frowned. Your Honor, this witness wasn't on the defense's list. Before the judge could respond, the courtroom doors opened. Director Elaine Roberts walked in, flanked by 4 federal agents in suits. She moved with authority to the witness stand. Your Honor, Barnes said, Director Roberts' testimony only recently became available to the defense. It's crucial to our case. Judge Simmons looked at the commanding presence of the newcomer. I'll allow it, but this better be relevant, Counselor. After Roberts was sworn in, Barnes began. Would you please state your name and position for the record? Elaine Roberts, Director of the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States. The courtroom erupted in shocked whispers. Peterson and Miller exchanged alarmed glances. In the back row, Chief Tucker stood as if preparing to leave, but found Agent Rodriguez blocking his path. Order, Judge Simmons called, banging his gavel. He looked stunned. Director Roberts, why are you involved in a local drug possession case? Roberts looked directly at the judge. Your Honor, this is not a simple drug case. The defendant, Maya Washington, is actually Special Agent Maya Washington, a deep-cover CIA operative who has been investigating an international weapons smuggling ring with connections to corrupt local officials for the past 3 years. Chaos broke out in the courtroom. White jumped to her feet. Objection. This is absurd. I demand proof of these outlandish claims. I have that proof right here, Your Honor, Roberts said, handing a folder to the bailiff. These are Agent Washington's credentials and operation authorization documents, Signed by myself and the Attorney General. The judge examined the documents carefully, his expression changing from skepticism to shock. These appear to be in order. He looked at Maya with new understanding. Ms. Washington, or rather, Agent Washington. Maya stood, her entire demeanor transformed. The nervous bartender was gone, replaced by a confident federal agent. Yes, Your Honor. I am Special Agent Maya Washington, CIA badge number 78542, currently assigned to Operation Broken Arrow, targeting an international weapons smuggling network. Peterson stood up. This is a trick. She's lying. Sit down, officer, the judge ordered sharply. Maya continued. I was working undercover at the Blue Moon nightclub to monitor the activities of arms dealer Anton Kirov, who was using the establishment to meet with local contacts. One of those contacts was Officer Greg Peterson, who accepted payments to provide security information and police protection for weapons shipments. Your Honor, this is outrageous, White protested. What's outrageous, Barnes countered, is that when Agent Washington witnessed Officer Peterson meeting with Kirov, he and Officer Miller decided to frame her by planting drugs and a weapon in her vehicle. Roberts nodded to one of the federal agents who set up a laptop and projector. Your Honor, with your permission, we have video evidence to present. The judge, still looking stunned, nodded. Proceed. The projection showed enhanced footage from Maya's watch, clearly recording Peterson and Miller planting evidence in her car while she was made to stand aside. Their voices were clearly audible, discussing how to make the charges stick. As the footage played, Peterson made a sudden move toward the exit. 3 federal agents immediately blocked his path. Gregory Peterson, Frank Miller, Ronald Tucker. Roberts announced formally, "You are under arrest for conspiracy, evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, and participation in an illegal weapons trafficking operation." More federal agents entered the courtroom, moving to arrest not only the officers but also Assistant DA White and 2 other officials seated in the gallery. Judge Simmons banged his gavel repeatedly. Order! I will have order in this court. When the noise subsided, he turned to Director Roberts. I want a full explanation of what is happening in my courtroom. Roberts addressed the court. Your Honor, for the past 3 years, the CIA has been tracking an international weapons smuggling operation that was moving military-grade weapons through your port. These weapons were destined for domestic extremist groups and foreign buyers. She gestured to Maya. Agent Washington was placed undercover to identify local officials who were facilitating this operation. She discovered that Officers Peterson and Miller, under the direction of Chief Tucker, were providing protection and intelligence to the smugglers. When she witnessed Peterson meeting with known arms dealer Anton Kirov, they identified her as a threat and moved to neutralize her by framing her for drug and weapons possession. Maya stepped forward. Your Honor, with your permission, I'd like to present the complete evidence we've gathered. For the next 30 minutes, Maya laid out the case against the corrupt officials. She presented recordings, financial records, and surveillance photos showing the entire network of corruption. Judge Simmons listened with growing anger, his face reddening as the extent of the corruption in his jurisdiction became clear. In light of this evidence, the judge finally said, "This case is dismissed. Ms. White, you are relieved of your duties pending a full investigation. Officers Peterson and Miller will be remanded to federal custody." He turned to Maya. Agent Washington, on behalf of this court, I apologize for what you've endured. Maya nodded respectfully. I was doing my job, Your Honor. As federal agents led the arrested officials away, Maya saw Alan Gray enter the courtroom. He gave her a small nod of approval. 1 week later, Maya stood in Director Roberts' office in Washington, D.C. The fallout from the case had been extensive. 17 officials from Riverdale had been arrested, including the mayor who had connections to the smuggling ring. The weapons operation had been dismantled, with arrests across 5 states and 3 countries. The Attorney General asked me to convey his personal thanks, Roberts said, handing Maya an envelope. Your work was exceptional. What happens to Riverdale now? Maya asked. The FBI has established an oversight team to help rebuild the police department and local government. It will take time, but the city will recover. And my next assignment? Roberts smiled slightly. After 3 years deep cover, you're due for some rest. Take a month off. After that, we'd like you to help train new operatives. Your experience is invaluable." Maya nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and purpose. The mission had been dangerous and painful at times, but seeing justice served made it worthwhile. She thought of Peterson and the others, now facing federal charges, and of the weapons that would never reach their intended targets. She had entered the CIA to protect people from threats they would never know existed. Today, she had done exactly that. Tomorrow, she would help others do the same. "I'll be ready," she said simply.